Tartar! Welcome. Welcome to the. Well, you look good. Look at us looking good. It's a slushy Sunday. All right, we about to get up in here. And yeah, welcome. So excited. Welcome to On the Couch with yours truly. I'm Jaamil Alawale Kusako. Jaamil means beauty. And hello, beauties. Hello, hello, hello. It's 2024 and it is really real. 2023 was really, really real. But 2024 is about to be the realest of the real, I think. I am so excited to have in the flesh on the couch one of the most dynamic performance makers, theater artists, absurd clown alchemist, a dreamer who is always manifesting and just exposing the most intricate, dynamic, complicated, and hilarious parts of the human condition. A poet in heart, a comedian in spirit, and a friend, dare I say, a friend. Alex Tartarsky. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my God.
It's such a treat to be here. And also, I'm just bowled over because, yeah, I feel so informed. My work feels so informed by you and what you make and what you do. So I'm just like tearing up to hear those words. Thank you for that very, very sweet welcome.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I have to just say, like, I think of something that I so appreciate about you and our history is that I feel like you are one of the few artists who really acknowledges me, you know? And I just appreciate that. You know, I appreciate the acknowledgement and your heart. And yeah, I don't want to become, too sappy. We're just starting, but
Sunday, sappy,
Exactly.
snowy, prosecco.
Right.
Now we just start crying
So
together.
we just cry together.
And we think it's good. We think the people want to see this. No,
Exactly.
I like you so much.
Exactly. No, I like you. No, you. No. But yeah, I really appreciate that, and I want to thank you to your face, really. You know, I want to thank you for that, and yeah. So I think we've had a couple crossover like moments with interviews and various sort of opportunities to cross paths, and I've just wanted to have the opportunity to sit with you really one-on-one, connect, know sort of what your inspirations are, how you got to, how 2024 is really, entering for you. Yeah, how's it been letting go of 23, welcoming 24?
I think I'm in a place of wanting to find, my reasons for having chosen this very strange life that are, that are kind of like eternal reasons that aren't glued to a particular moment or opportunity or hustle. Do you know what I mean? Like to be like, all right, having chosen a life that is so
Riddled with prosperity.
Yes. Like why? And being connected to the why. Like if I'm waking up with the question and going to sleep with the question as one does, like why this life just being really open to that, like welcoming the question in and seeing what I can like root into. Yeah, because making things is a pretty painful process for me. I look to people that I imagine have this like ecstatic, joyous relationship to making things. I'm like, that's not my experience.
Exactly.
So what? Yeah, finding like real faith in that choice to keep doing it, I guess, is my
Yeah, for sure.
curiosity about 2024.
I mean, I need you to stay curious because I feel like when I was 34 ish in that area.
That's correct. No, that's accurate.
When I was your age, no.
What are you, 35?
I know. I'm 35. But I remember having such, like, I remember being really clear. It was so clear for me. I was like, oh, I'm doing exactly what I should be doing. No question. And then, now that I'm, 40-ish, well, maybe that's the title or something.
40-ish on the couch.
On the couch with Jaamil. But now that I'm 40-ish, yeah, I like keeping it, fuzzy a little
Yeah,
bit.
you need a little mystery.
Mysterious. But yeah, I find that the not giving a fuckness has really risen.
Oh, that's so exciting.
And I've had to learn, like releasing a lot of things. Like I don't desire to be in front of people nearly. I don't know if I ever really desired it, honestly. Yeah, it's always been super difficult, negotiating that, the self, the exchange, the price of the ticket that is so often undervalued in the work that we do. And so, but I had no question about it because I feel like I was performing like European art star when I was that age. And so I was like, great. And now that I'm I'm over the hill now, I am like, I don't know if I can, like, I don't know what that world is saying to me now. But I will say I remember seeing you perform in the height of the pandemic in 2020, and it just seemed like there was just such gusto and spirit, and there was just so much coming out of your body and through your body. um I remember just thinking, wow, I want to connect to whatever it is this person is like reaching towards. I want to know what that is. I'm curious about that. Can you speak to just, like what that is? That sort of, I don't know, it's a desire, right? It's a
Well, that
desire.
particular experience, project that you're speaking to, I was in an empty storefront in a commercial center in Philadelphia in a moment when people weren't gathering indoors. And
What were you calling that piece?
nothing office or no.
No, yeah.
And alternate title, nothing to show, or I was thinking about what that means, like feeling like you have nothing to show, but then what if you show the nothing, and then there's nothing is so large actually to be in the nothing and to be okay with showing that. But thinking about the body, because I was behind glass in the storefront, my practice is often really verbal, but nobody could hear me. So there was a sense of like, we can't hear each other right now. We can't be in this shared space. And in some larger sense, we really can't hear each other. And so what is that then to have language physically taken out of the communicative exchange? And so it turns the whole body into this expressive mask. Yeah. And I think there was a lot of urgency in wanting to create images that could speak through this glass to a public that didn't want to go see an experimental performance. They were just walking down the street. And that's my favorite audience. And that's what I so often feel is missing in these European art star moments, which I haven't had mine, but I wouldn't say
It's
no.
coming. It's gonna
But
come.
I predict that there is a sense of like, wait, but there's all these people that don't show up to these spaces that I'm really excited to communicate with and have that be an exchange, not just like watching my body do things, but that we're watching each other.
Yes.
And that's what's generative. It's
That was
actually this
clear.
mutual watching and listening.
Yeah, that conversation, like between the spectator and you, is so palpable, and I think that was what I connected to maybe the most deeply. And it was a durational work. Yeah, like you were there for
Yeah.
hours.
Yeah, I tried to really treat it like an office job, whatever that means for people in our field. Like you just show up every day and you're there all day, and that's what you're doing all day. So if you're there, you're at work. And it was just like magnificent to have these relationships with people who were also there all day. Like the security guard across the street, we sort of were often performing for each other. And everybody was so playful, like so deeply playful. Like if I would make strange faces, they would just make strange faces back. I remember like pouring, I don't know, I think I had different beverages and things to play with, and like just pouring some coffee or wine on my head to kind of make myself weep at somebody, and they were drinking a Slurpee and they just started like pouring their Slurpee on themselves.
Wow, I love it.
And I was like, this is perhaps the best performance to ever happen, and it's just
so
between
good.
us.
So good. So good.
Yeah.
Those are the moments, because you're really communicating. Something is really like lifting, like off the page, as they say. You know what I mean? So what are you working on these days? How did we get from no to Playwrights Horizon? How does it happen? Tell us your secret. How do we get from nothing to something?
The strategy session.
Exactly.
That was a big surprise, and one that I'm still like thinking about in terms of framing, like what it does to a piece of art to be considered a play just because of where it is, or to be considered a piece of theater. Like I have a lot of questions about these categories and what they do to the watching audience, But yeah, I just had the great like delight of some folks from Playwrights, Adam and Natasha, who are incredible there, stumbling into the piece at Abrams and then wanting to experiment with introducing plays that are maybe written on the feet, as we might say, rather than on the page, into their season, which I think was both an artistic interest and a financial interest. Like, what would it be like to work with solo artists who are making stuff, who are writing plays just with their body and space?
Exactly.
So it was really a risk and an experiment for them to bring in a clown like me.
Yes.
And fascinating.
But needed though, like those spaces, and I think this is where we tend to maybe lessen our value, because you being on that stage is far more beneficial to their curatorial platform, to their audiences than...
Well, it's exciting. It's exciting to be reaching audiences that are genuinely surprised by
like, what is this?
Unfolding. That's my favorite, because we should be asking that question all the time. Like, what is this?
What is this?
That's kind of my favorite, most existential, like, to make things that make an audience and make oneself ask, like, what is this? What are we doing here together on this planet, in this place?
Yeah. Is there a question that you enter the studio with typically? Like, is there, I don't know, does the research start for you here?
I have to confess that I find the studio itself to be like horrifying.
Exactly. It's okay.
Horrifying. And I just go in there and I just confront the nothingness, and then I kind of start to hate myself, and then the work becomes about that, and then I'm like, I don't want the work to be about this, and then I leave the studio, and then I look around and I'm like, oh, there's all these interesting things happening in the actual world. And that has always been a much happier place to make from. Like, I like walking around and talking to myself. I like running late somewhere and like riding my bike really fast and talking to myself, or like singing on the bike, like something where the noise of the world gives me permission to kind of babble and like see what comes up, which I think is why sometimes the professionalization of what we do, where you're supposed to know your idea and say it and maybe try to get funding for it and all of this kind of thing, is really antithetical to how I want to be approaching things, because I don't even often have a clear question. I'm just like curious, try to be curious about what bubbles up.
Exactly.
But how would you answer that? Like, do you go in the studio with
I mean,
questions?
because I was taught to do that. I think that's the only reason why, you know. But I think as I've gotten older, I've learned to have those questions and also release them and allow them to mature and mutate into other questions. And I also learned recently, not recently, I feel like I've always known this, but I like to sort of go from like this question, concern, and I like to like push that up against this other like contradictory question, concern thing, and then push that up against this other one, and the next thing I know, oh, I've made a show just by sort of like colliding these varying disparate concepts together, just pushing them together, mashing them up, seeing, you know, what are they saying to each other, how are they speaking, and attempting to learn from that information so that the work is telling me of itself and less about what I'm trying to impose upon it, you know.
It's always like smarter than we are, you know?
Totally.
Like always.
Totally.
And to not limit that. I mean, hearing you talk about colliding disparate things together makes me think about maybe one process where I felt pretty excited and content within it, which is rare for me, when I thought about the piece I was making as a costume, as the costume of Harlequin. Harlequin is this kind of trickster servant, which I find to be a really compelling figure, like a worker who's maybe on the bottom of the power structure in society, but is always playing tricks and trying to reverse those power dynamics in all these little constant daily ways.
Is that the jester?
Yeah, sort of a jester figure, totally. And traditionally, Harlequin's costume is patchwork, like made of all these bits and scraps that he's either stolen or he's asked his friends to give him their leftovers. And then when he sews it all together, it's like the most beautiful costume at the party. And everything about that is delicious to me. It's like, well, what if we welcomed all the scraps of our lives and like trusted that if they're just put together, being side by side, there's this new beauty or revelation that we couldn't, that only exists in that collision. Like that the seams are the patterning.
100. And for me, that's what equates to freedom. Like that's literally how we create our freedom strategies, is through the patchwork. You know, through piecing together the life and just making what is as beautiful as it is, and just sort of showing that. You know, I really do think, yeah, that's at least that's how I've gone about, you know, creating, you know, the beauty that I inhabit. Yeah.
Jaamil.
Means beauty. I mean, you know, I'm just living up to my name.
But you're doing well.
I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always thinking about like double meanings, even within a single word or something or sound unit.
Yeah.
And that collision, like the conversation that even a word is having with itself about meaning, and just hearing you say peace and like piecing together, I don't know, just the way that that operates on multiple levels as like artistic strategy, but also survival strategy, also practice of freedom. Like, what does it mean to just be piecing, to try to be piecing, you know?
I mean, the best work I've learned, I feel like the most after, this is like thousands and thousands of dollars. I was, just literally calculating how much did I spend on education, and
Oh
it's just
no.
obscene.
Oh no.
But I'm like, after all of that, I feel like one of the most incredible courses I took was my improvisation class, because it taught me how to piece together literally from nothing, and how to collaborate, how to think ahead, how to compose on, instantaneously on the spot. Um, how to maneuver, difficult, hard situations, how, to take the lead, to solo when I need to, and just step into the drama, and how to know, how to step back and disappear when need be. Like, I feel like I learned all of that inside of this sort of compositional, improvisational workshop. And that really sparked me, and I think that's what continues to spark me, is sort of just figuring, just the journey, just doing it on the spot.
No, that really resonates with me. Also, I guess the questions that it raises around like work and working hard and the pressure upon that in this society we live in, like, I don't know, a sort of sense that rigor in regards to your research or your interest or your work is about like working hard or like exhausting yourself with labor, as
Ooh.
opposed to like life
Ooh.
being the ongoing
Yes.
preparation, and the improvisation is
Yes.
the moment when maybe like a frame is put around like a focus to watch or experience or witness, but it it shifts my feeling towards what it means to work on a piece.
100%.
And it like releases that
100%.
walking down the street is there for you to draw on in the moment of improvisation, and perhaps more
100.
richly than like
Yes.
working.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, that was probably the biggest lesson I learned transitioning, making the transition from 30s into my 40s, was learning that working harder was not going to literally put more money into my account. It wasn't gonna give me better friendships. It wasn't gonna. I mean, it just wasn't gonna. Whatever I thought, it wasn't gonna do that.
I have proof now from a few decades.
And so I've learned to just be more, to be smarter. To work smarter. And actually, and this has been the craziest part, but it's like the more that I release and let go, the more the thing seems to arrive with much more just fervor and excitement or rigor or something. It's like, oh, I'm here. I'm really here. I'm really clearly here, because you have nothing else distracting you, because clearly you want to be here too. So I find like I can meet an idea or just a possibility with so much more clarity when I'm not like stressing myself over, how hard I'm working to get
Yeah.
something done,
I mean, I have a friend, Magda, who's was a Philly maker, now is in LA, who often says like, let it be easy.
Yes.
Which is,
yes, Magda.
it's hard to let it be easy. But oh, was that a take? That was a direct take to the camera. Let it be easy.
Let it be easy. Yes.
And it's radical to do that,
It is.
and tricky, and yeah. I mean, I think about also improvisational practice in relation to teaching, and teaching being another realm in which folks are often really exploited and extracted from.
Yeah.
And the only way I can be at peace with teaching under those circumstances if I think of it as improvisational practice, where like I show up
Exactly.
to what the students are bringing that day and we find our journey together.
Exactly.
And trust that I'm doing the work outside of the room to just show up with them.
Exactly.
And
Yes.
but really being present.
Exactly.
Like really being present to that.
Exactly. I love it. Any final words of enlightenment as we move into, you know, what is it, Capricorn season? What season is it? Where are we on this astral plane?
Yeah, my astrological approach is intuitive. Can't say I really know what's going on. Well, I've been thinking a lot about the ongoingness of struggle, I guess, and messianism has been on my mind a lot.
Messianism.
The past few months, I think, in the world right now, kind of an abuse or misuse of messianic longing, which to me means like, I don't know, desperation, desire for a homeland, desire for safety, can lead to so much more harm. And to me, there seems to be a delusion around perfection, like that it's something that is here, that we can be like perfected and reach a place that is a homeland, that is ours, that is divine, that then we protect in the most brutal and ugly ways. And I really, really want to put out into the world, both in the things I make and in the kind of conversations I have, that we try to get to a better place, but we will not get there. And that is important. That like the Messiah will not come, even though we always want to try to imagine ourselves towards this perfect world that will not come. And the impossibility of that is really important, to like stay in the mess and in the trying, but to not get there, to not delude oneself into thinking that we got here and now we protect it. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Like, so I'm trying to unpack that in myself and in what's going on in the world, and also in my practice of making things, that it's not about finishing and completing and finding and then like guarding it. It's about the tension of trying to get there and never getting there.
Exactly. I mean,
Like-
it's the journey, you know? It's the journey. It's the journey. And what an incredible journey it's been on the couch with you.
I love this couch.
Alex.
Everyone get off this couch.
Thank you.
Are there any things you want to share or offer, or that are on your mind going into this year?
What do I want to share? What's on my mind? Well, I'm always like holding so much complexity, I feel. And so for me, it's something about how do I create more opportunities to sort of lessen the noise and return to this sort of interior work that I know my nervous system needs to maintain itself. I think that's really been, that's been much of my focus. Trying to just decrease the clutter. Because it's a lot of, it's very loud. And yeah, just trying to move with intention so as to not add more noise to the noise, but hopefully some light, some guidance, some clarity to some body who is, needing it, needing inspiration, needing laughter, needing, a warm hug.
Mm-hmm. I love that. The image that's coming to my mind is like a heap or a pile. Like sometimes it feels like, oh, there's so much. Why add another thing to the heap, the pile, the noise? But actually, I hear you. Like when you say that, I hear you sort of stepping back and like observing what is already there, and that observation being the offering in some way, or the like, yeah, the colliding. I love that. I'm gonna hold on to that. What's already like stuck there together incongruously and exquisitely.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Tartar,
Thank you,
for coming to sit on the couch. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right. Until next time.
Until next time.
To
On the
next
couch.
season. New beginnings, to beauty, to love, to joy,
to the mess.
to the mess.